you guys remember the chimichangas? Please tell me somebody did. No? All right, fine. We're still going to do this review. Hey, everybody.
Get up your butt.
What's going on, people? This is Ian here, Chris here, and also guest starring Jason. Hey, man.
Yep. We normally only let him play with the dead things, but
this time they let me near the semi-dead things.
Well, yeah, considering it's Deadpool, we'll let you come out for that. So, yeah, okay. So, Ian, on our last episode of Jagged Edge, I said that I was going to start watching my language. That will be after the Deadpool review.
We'll skip. All right.
Yeah.
Oh man, that counts. No.
Yep.
Welcome, people. This has been one that we've just loved seeing for the trailers, and I'll just say straight up, it did not let down on those fronts at all. This is the quintessential fourth wall breaker that starts with hilarity and that will end that way as well. But this is a darn fun ride. So even if you love Deadpool 1, I know we were talking a little bit beforehand. You know, Jason made some comments about how that was really straight out of comics. And if you're coming into this kind of looking for more of the same pace, you're going to get that. But also, I think some within all the madness, some good development too. Some cool pushes for all the characters we get. So,
yeah. All the hype about it being a family movie, I definitely still felt that. Like there was an intertwining theme throughout the movie of family, which was fun.
All right, on.
All right, can I lay down some context?
Hit it.
Okay, so I don't know if you said it or not. Maybe I missed it. This is the non-spoiler review. We will be doing a spoiler review right after this. They should be up by the end of the night. Context for the people listening as far as our perspective, it's kind of funny. I think we have all three varying perspectives here. Jason is a huge Deadpool fan, not so much a specific Marvel or even X-Men fan. Ian is a big X-Men fan, not such a big Deadpool fan, but he likes them fine. Mm-hmm. I am in general a fan of Marvel and comics. I obviously know who Deadpool and X-Men is, but I am not specifically a mutant or Deadpool or X-Men fan.
Love it.
Okay.
Yeah, and you see what you get. I mean, for not being a Deadpool or an X-Men fan, this is what happens to the guys in the middle. You got to pick a side, man. Come on.
Yep.
Yeah, I picked a side. It's called not the whiny prepubescent X-Men.
Oh, we're gonna be like that.
Yeah, they need to stop being like that. Oh, okay. No, but obviously Deadpool transcends, which is part of why it's so fun to watch them, because the ability that this character has and what the creative team behind this movie and the first one is intertwining him with the X-Men and making references to other things from Marvel. It makes it perfect. This is kind of funny because unicorns are one of his favorite things, but Deadpool is very much a unicorn in respects of what he can do and get away with.
Well, and it's interesting to me. It's been kind of a fun ride watching in particular the movie adaptations of Deadpool, because they've toned him way down from the comics.
Oh, good Lord, yeah.
Oh God, yeah. He doesn't even have the schizophrenic voices that are notorious. Like any comic book fan for Deadpool will tell you, he's absolutely off his rockers, way more than Ryan Reynolds could even play.
But now, as a big Deadpool fan, does Ryan Reynolds do this character justice, though? I mean, the general consensus is that he does, but
yeah, absolutely, without a doubt. I can't, he fits the type perfectly, and the between the actual in movie acting and the amazing job he's done putting out the advertising. Some of those commercials that they put out to advertise have done a fantastic job of just nailing the attitude of the movie and Deadpool in general. It's been a wonderfully awesome thing to watch as a fan of Deadpool.
One of my favorite things leading up to the first movie was the marketing campaign that they did, and I was a little disappointed that they didn't follow in those footsteps going into this one, I think we
Right.
got something new every day for like a month and a half or something. Either it was a picture or a small clip of something or some reference. But really going into the last couple of weeks here, you've seen nothing but Deadpool everywhere. They really smashed it out at the end.
Yeah. Yeah, and you
The
had
Celine Dion thing was pretty funny.
it was, and then you had the what was it, the Devour ads as well.
Oh,
Uh,
Yep.
all those.
oh, you didn't get it? Yeah, it was for the like the microwave meals and stuff. Those were fun, man.
Well, and you guys might have missed this, but I happen to be a pretty avid follower of like gaming and Twitch streaming and stuff like that on YouTube and streaming platforms. And Ryan Reynolds actually did some appearances with some of the more notable YouTube characteristics. He would go on and promote the show.
Cool.
A couple in particular where he would go on and play the Deadpool video game with these people to promote the movie.
Now, was he Ryan Reynolds or was he Deadpool?
Oh, he was Ryan Reynolds.
Oh, okay. Well, that's still fun though. Did you guys see what he did with on Stephen Colbert?
I
No.
did indeed.
Yeah, that was funny.
Oh,
That was
man.
hilarious.
Okay, so following a normal format, Ian's kind of already said it, I think you can already tell. General overall feelings of this movie. Jason,
Definitely positive.
definitely fine. I thought it was adequate.
Yeah.
It was
Well,
quite adequate.
I'm gonna voice something. Like I definitely enjoyed the movie, but I didn't enjoy it as much as I enjoyed the first one. I'll be honest with you.
All right, he's just going to throw that out
Okay.
because you know the comparison's going to happen.
Oh, absolutely. It felt like a lot of things ended up being left on the cutting room floor, and that's all I'm gonna say with that. But the overall flow of the movie felt a little jilted at points,
Yeah.
but that's really my only complaint.
Oh, there you go. Yeah, I'm not going to do that comparison because I actually have not seen the first one in a little while. Hold on,
yeah.
get off of there.
Freaking
over there.
horror.
Come on, here. All right, sorry. Roar thought that he could use my PlayStation for a moment there.
See, I pre-gamed. I watched the first one right before we went to the movie to see the second one.
Yeah, I
wanted
would've
to
liked
do
have
that.
done that. But yeah. So I didn't get a chance. So I'm not going to say which one I liked more or which one I thought was better. I will say this: I very much enjoyed this movie. I don't think it was perfect. I mean, we're coming off the last review we did was Infinity War, where I gave my first 10 out of 10.
Yeah.
But I will say this: and I mean this in all sincerity, I have never laughed so hard in a theater, and just stop. Now, does that mean I'm saying it's the funniest movie I've ever seen? No, but I know for a fact I've never laughed so hard in a theater.
No, yeah. One thing this did a really good job of is I think just sort of make you relax and just bring that side of it out. There was nothing here that you would question. I think even for a second, getting a good chuckle out of the way that's executed, and moreover, how comfortable this movie is with itself. There's some that you see sort of pull their punches or sort of hold back on certain areas or kind of go in this in, but don't go too far into that. No, absolutely not. This just throws so many conventions out the window. It's self-deprecating in places, but it makes up for that in more places because it almost sort of inoculates itself with its own self-criticisms. It's fourth wall breaking, all the crazy humor and stuff. And no, dude, I'm with you. My theater was cracking up pretty hard in this one, and I did too. So
Yeah, absolutely. The jokes were excellently timed. There was just like you guys said, there was a continuous roll of laughter. I think pretty much consistently.
So now that being said, and I have to agree with something that you said that was a negative, Jason. One of my biggest issues with this movie, and you saw it more in the first half and mainly in the first act than anything, was the pacing. The pacing at times was off, especially in the first half, and especially that first act. At one point, I even got a little concerned about the movie I was watching.
There's that's something really good to hone in on. Just defining that a bit, it almost felt like we were sort of scrambling, searching for a second to see where exactly this was going to fall. Like where, how's this going to roll out? I mean, are we going to kick, Zap bang the action? Wait, where's Cable? Cable going to come into this? Where are those elements going to fit in? And we sort of plod through that. But once it finds its stride, it's there, and I think it ignites well, and I think it follows through on it the rest of the film. But I think you're dead on with that.
Yeah, like it had a strong start, and once it hit that second act, it really found its stride. But there were a couple of parts that I felt like was very jilted.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. The first act was definitely a little disjointed. And like I said, at one point I'm like, oh boy, am I going to see a train wreck? But no, it quickly gets itself going, and like Ian said, once this thing gets going, it's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
So yeah, now something you guys were talking about a little bit before we were recording, and I told you to stop because I wanted to save it for the show. Were your two leads here? Ryan Reynolds, obviously Deadpool, Josh Brolin as Cable. Yeah, they were great. They worked together really well. In fact, I've not seen a lot of Josh Brolin stuff. Obviously, Infinity War and obviously Goonies, which Ian, I don't even think you've seen Goonies, have you?
No, man.
Hey, what about you, Jason?
I've seen Goonies. Truffle Shuffle for life.
All right, well there it is. He didn't do that though. That was another guy. But he doesn't say anything. Oh. But no, they worked really well together. In fact, Josh Brolin's dead serious actually just at times made things so much better. I mean, but it wasn't at the same time. It wasn't too much. He wasn't so stone cold to where it's like I'm reacting like I'm not reacting. But at the same time, it was just right.
Yeah. I said this to Ian before we started, but they took that classic like Abbott and Costello bit, you've got a straight man and you got a funny man, and they cranked it up to about 100, and they play off of each other fantastically. There's never a moment in between them where you're not following the quip for quip for quip.
Yeah, and I think the way you framed it with the what was it, bad cop against worse cop.
Bad cop, worse cop.
Yeah. No,
that being said, it's I think done just right. Whereas it's not the Deadpool and Cable movie. It is, but it's not.
Right.
It's not like they don't take every moment.
Yeah.
To be Deadpool and Cable. It's as much Deadpool as you'd want. That's for sure. But
right.
This is a well-rounded cast, and we know most of them from the first one, and the additions are good.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it was good to see that. The Deadpool and Cable thing, well, I think that was a main pull for a lot of us comic book fans. It did not take center stage, which was nice, because I was concerned that they were going to just focus down on that so much that the rest of the movie was kind of going to get lost, but it absolutely did not pan out that way, and I'm very relieved.
So let's talk about some of the controversies coming into this. Oh, yeah. Which, by the way, I always forget to say this at the beginning. I always mean to say at the beginning, I forget. 2 after credit scenes, and at least the ones that we saw, none of them were at the very end. I know for my theater, what they've started doing now is once they hit the half lights in the theater, that means the after credit scenes are done.
Oh, I wish my theater did that. No.
Nice.
But yeah, there are 2 of them, and of course, did you guys hear about the one they cut out?
No, I did not.
Okay, yeah. So we might get it on the DVD. I'm just gonna say 2 words: Baby Hitler.
Oh,
yeah. That's all I'll say. People can Google that if they want. But some of the more controversies, just because it's a character almost impossible to pull off the page. Josh Brolin as Cable. Ian and I in our weekly show, we were cautious about this, very concerned about this until we started seeing some finished pictures where he looked good. But I mean, there's a point in this movie where I'm watching, I'm like, no one could have done this better.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, the first time he popped up on screen, I was like, this is exactly
that's
how
Cable.
I pictured Cable looking.
Yeah, for me for me when he looked the most like the character was at the end. Which was fitting because I mean that's he's really getting into it. He's really getting some action. For me, it was like, wow, yeah, there he is. Holy shit.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
The other one was, and I butcher names here, and I apologize. I don't think I'll butcher this one at all. Zazie Beats, Domino. A lot of people were
yeah,
upset
Oh,
yeah.
about the selection as Domino. I don't know much about Domino at all. I mean, I know the character.
I
I know what she looks
Hmm.
like. I'm loving this Domino.
Same.
I do. I do love the fact that they pulled off the attitude of Domino very well, and I am a little happy that they pulled back her more lascivious nature.
And see, you see something really important here. This was interesting coming into this and kind of shows some of the parts they freewheeled with and why this isn't right out of the comics. Domino, if I recall correctly, was a love interest of Cable.
Oh, she was the love interest of just about
Yeah,
everybody.
about on and off, yeah. So, but sort of, bringing a character like that into more kind of like a mercenary. She worked. She
Oh,
just fit so well with the way things flowed here.
Mm.
And yeah, Zazie rocked. I was if we didn't get around to commenting on her during this review, I said, man, somebody's got to say something about this.
yeah.
So
I was not worried about her going in because I saw that the trailer with her going, "Is luck a superpower?" and the
yeah,
yes, no, no, yes, and they just nailed it. So I was not worried about her at all.
So something that I thought was interesting. I was not expecting them to. They firmly put Deadpool into this X-Men universe that Fox has had, and at least
yeah,
in the direction that they're trying to go in. The first movie actually made jokes about how things have been, wonky, and they haven't always lined up right. And that's not even to say that they don't do that in this one too, but they do firmly implant him. You
yeah.
definitely
They
feel
do.
like there's a definitive, here's Deadpool, here's this world
Yep.
he's in. I'm not gonna say any more than that. I was a little surprised with that. I figured they might keep it as ambiguous as it was in the first one.
Yeah,
Yeah, that was a pleasant surprise.
yeah. And
I don't think that was so pleasant.
No, I do. I love it. Especially after the cracks in the first movie about could they afford to hire more X-Men? Oh God, it was so funny.
Now that being said, one of the things that I didn't like so much about this movie, I did think that at times, this was a very cut and paste story, and it was at times fairly weak. It a movie like this and a character like this, I'm not going to say disappointed because it didn't. You're not, this is more in line. I'm not going to say exactly like this, but it's more in line of a fighting game where the story, is it's awesome if it's great, but it's really just kind of the excuse.
right.
Yeah, it did feel like at some points the plot took a back seat to whatever. It was a punchline for the joke or to set a stage for a particular fight scene.
Yeah,
But
that's
I will say that despite how stereotypical it was throughout, very familiar plotline, they still did it well, and I enjoyed the ending a lot.
yeah.
Mhm.
It's what I like to call the whole Marvel versus Capcom syndrome. Sometimes the story kind of becomes the backseat to the action or the crossover or having a certain blend of characters that you like never get together. And while that is something that you run into every now and then here, and I think it even kind of pokes fun at itself for some of those here. Those are like little like transitions about, man, that was bad writing or something like that. That
Mhm.
I think even its own blemishes sort of make you smirk a bit. So
Well, and in fact, I think it does poke it at itself once or twice too. That being said, part of what makes Deadpool so great, in my opinion, at least for the movies and for my experience of Deadpool, part of what makes him so great is the fact that he does, as far as the context of a comic or a movie or the character himself, he does poke fun at himself,
yeah,
but at the same time, it's still well written.
yeah,
There's still a bit of brilliance here. That being said, this movie I think was definitely weaker than the first one in that regard.
hmm hmm
Yeah, and I chalked that up to the fact that there are more characters. The first movie was Deadpool the movie. He was the only character we had to focus on. So they could take a lot more time to really sort of hone in on those jokes. You know,
But
Yeah.
yeah,
But
overall, kind of wrangling that all together. If you are an X-Men fan, and maybe you were a little disappointed because the first Deadpool wasn't really an X-Men movie, you will not be disappointed this time.
No.
This is firmly implanted in an X-Men universe and definitely expands upon it. I mean, quite honestly, at one point I'm like, I can't even keep track of all these mutants that I've never seen before. Where if you're a huge X-Men comic fan, you're like, there's that one and there's that one.
Yeah.
Oh my God, there's that.
Yeah.
Is Black Jim a real guy?
Not that
I'm gonna
not
look
that I
it
can
up.
pin down. Not that I can pin down directly. Dude, I honestly took that as just like that was just like his pet name that he came up with.
yeah,
Yeah. I didn't I don't I couldn't track.
at least I could tell you I didn't recognize him
No.
from any of the
No.
stuff. But man,
Right, whatever. I can't find anything real quick.
it was one of my fiance's more favorite reoccurring jokes.
No, I was
Was the Black Jim thing.
yeah.
Oh,
I'm gonna nitpick a little bit more, and actually, this would probably be my biggest gripe about the movie.
Yeah.
And this just solely has to do with expectation, especially with what we saw just weeks ago.
Right.
As far as a comic book movie and a Marvel comic, even though this is not a Marvel Studios movie, and a lot of people don't make the distinction. I'm assuming if you're listening to this, you probably do, but the special effects are the worst I've seen in a comic book movie in years.
really?
Yeah. Now that being said, they're still good.
Yeah, I was gonna say like I did not see anything to gripe about.
We're used to seeing like photo fucking realistic, and that was not what we got in a lot of that. You could tell when something was CGI and when something wasn't.
You could.
See, and I enjoyed that a little bit. It gave it more of a comic booky feel for me. Like if everything's photorealistic, that sort of, that's good too. But I enjoyed the sort of like CGI look because it felt more like I was watching a comic book unfold rather than per se watching a photorealistic movie.
Right. Taking that sort of thinking about it, we look at, I think Chris is really highlighting the kind of standard that we have today with the Marvel films, with a lot of, for goodness sake, we're just coming off of Avengers. I mean, if you can make something like Thanos and all the crazy stuff that happens there believable and just dead on, like down to the Infinity Gauntlet, and, come here, you have more of an issue of, I think, clashing. There's definitely some scenes as you have the CG. There's a real sort of rift between, all right, like I see, you exist in this space, but you're sort of moving in this space at like a different rate to everything else. That's kind of, and I don't think they were all even. A good example too, Cable, and his. I was really interested in how they were going to portray the TO virus, I think for short.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And we have what they were going to do with that directly, and there were some scenes where that looked real sharp, as opposed to
most of the time you could tell that most of the money went into Cable.
It did. You really could. Whereas you do that and you compare with some of the others that popped up and things like that, you can definitely see where the clashes were. So that imbalance, I guess that kind of surprised me a little bit. I think if you had the exact same even kill, like a depth paid to each one, it wouldn't have stood out quite as much. So, but
it's not, and I understand what you're saying, Jason, as far as style. That's fine,
yeah.
but this wasn't so much a style as much as it was the second Matrix. You can tell when Neo's real and when Neo's not.
Right.
Right. I think I know which scene in particular you're targeting when you're thinking of this too, and that I'll agree with you.
All right. But I think so final thoughts, and then we'll rate it. Anything else you want to know about in general before we do that?
No, nothing that doesn't delve deeply into spoiler territory.
I'm ready to cut into that bag of chips.
All right, final thoughts, Ian.
This was a fun ride, and this was definitely something welcome on a Friday. It's really interesting to have a truly. It earned its R rating, and you will see why if you go and see it. To have a truly R-rated hero film alongside all these other greats that have really firmly planted themselves like PG-13s nowadays. I'm not sure if anything else can copy this act quite in the way Deadpool has done it. They're really gonna have to go out of their way and I think do something unique. But if there's one thing I can say about it, Deadpool's really carved out a niche. That's pretty cool to see in today's market for all this.
Jason.
Yeah, I'd have to agree with Ian. Fun ride. Definitely not a movie I would take my kids to see, but definitely a movie I would pay to go see again. Without a doubt. It's one of the movies that I've most enjoyed this year.
See, now I would definitely, if I had kids, I would definitely take them to see it.
I was just thinking, I'm like, Chris.
Hell yeah, with pride. I'd have the attendant hand the young man his ticket.
Yeah.
Give him
that does not surprise me.
Oh no, I really enjoyed this. You had mentioned a little bit earlier on in the review, Jason, that this is a story about family. It does have legitimate loss and tragedy.
Yeah.
It is hilarious. It really does run the gauntlet on a lot of things. It's a lot of fun. At the same time, if you didn't like the first one, you're not going to like this one.
No.
At all. But I think on the other side of that coin, if you liked the first one, even if you don't like this one as much, and I'm hearing that quite a bit, it's still really fucking good. Saying
without a doubt.
Saying that the first Deadpool was better than this one is not knocking this one, because
Right.
the first one's also so great. All right, so let's go with time-traveling teddy bears. 1 out of 10 time-traveling teddy bears. Jason, what would you give it?
I give it 8. 8 time-traveling teddy bears.
All right.
One of my time-traveling teddy bears got cut in half. So just for my laughs, that was certainly welcome. I give it an 8.5 out of 10.
I am 8.5. All right, I'm also going to give it an 8. I think it's a solid 8.
Yeah.
All right, there it is. So we are gonna stop here, and we're gonna do the spoiler review. But before we do that, Ian, I must ask you to do something for me, and we're just gonna end the show with this.
Which is...
I need you to say "fuck" for me once.
I know what you're gonna pull. But no.
Oh!
I know what you... If you've seen this movie, I know what you're gonna do. We'll see you guys in the next cut.
All right.
Hey people, thank you for tuning into this episode and taking a listen. If you like our content, if you like what you're listening to, if there's anything we go over, hey, please, we would not only love to hear more from you, but if great, you could throw some support. You can subscribe right below. Also, you can toss us a line anytime. That's ksawmedia@gmail.com. Of course, you can tune in for our channel anytime for movie reviews, game reviews, a lot of random wacky stuff. Who knows what you'll hear. And of course, our episode each week where we're bringing the nerdiest things we can find, pick up, and maybe not find. Maybe the stuff that just drops in our laps. But anyway, hey, thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you for listening. We hope to hear from you again later. Take care.